In a 10-hour marathon hearing, members of Congress peppered and battled FBI agent Peter Strzok with questions of potential bias. Strzok was the lead investigator in the Hillary Clinton email investigation and the alleged collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Strzok's been in the spotlight for his derogatory texts about Donald Trump during the 2016 presidential campaign. Republicans are convinced that his behavior taints those investigations. Jennifer Wishon brings us a look at his testimony from Washington.
Peter Strzok began his testimony on offense.
I strongly believe today's hearing is just another victory notch in Putin's belt.
The senior FBI agent played major roles in investigations of both Hillary Clinton's private email server and suspected collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. At the center of suspicion surrounding him, a series of text messages between him and his then lover, FBI attorney Lisa Page.
On August 26, 2016, you texted Ms. Page, quote, "Just went to a Southern Virginia Walmart. I could smell the Trump support." And smell is in capital letters, all capital letters. What does Trump support smell like, Mr. Strzok?
Sir, that's an expression of speech. I clearly wasn't smelling one thing or the other.
Strzok told the joint hearing of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees that he separated his political opinions from his investigations. At one point, he refused to answer questions, citing a directive by FBI attorneys, leading the chairman to threaten him with contempt of Congress
and potential criminal liability.
Do
you understand that?
During the 10-hour hearing, Democrats staunchly supported Strzok.
If I could give you a Purple Heart, I would.
Republicans peppered him with questions, showing outrage that's been building for months.
I don't appreciate having an FBI agent with an unprecedented level of animus working on two major investigations during 2016.
Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert even questioned Strzok's character.
I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them, you've embarrassed yourself, and I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
You need your medication.
Today, Lisa Page will be questioned by members of Congress in a closed-door session, having had the benefit of watching Strzok's testimony Thursday. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
And now a portion of the Strzok hearing that you may have missed. Some big fireworks from Texas Representative Louis Gohmert when he questioned Strzok about text messages he sent to former girlfriend, former FBI attorney Lisa Page. We pick up the testimony as Gohmert mentions receiving information about those text messages from Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz.
He had 500 pages of bias that he gave us. And then he threw a bone to the Democrats and said, but we can't find bias. And let me tell you, when you have text messages, Mr. Strzok, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, you know, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases, and we all have them. And you have come in here and said, I had no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying. And he could probably pass a polygraph. It's amazing.
Mr. Chairman.
No, this is my
Mr.
time.
Chairman, I'm sorry.
It needs to
point
be
of order.
paused.
This point of order.
No.
The gentleman will state his point of order.
A member of this committee just asserted that this witness, who is under oath and a former agent of the FBI, lied. There is no evidence that. I ask him to withdraw it.
I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero...
There is not a single person on this committee who has ever characterized a witness as
Gentleman from Rhode Island.
Gentleman, it's my time.
That's a disgrace.
Gentleman from Rhode Island will suspend.
No, the disgrace
Mr.
is what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, How many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
The credibility of a witness
Shame
is
on you,
always
Mr.
an
Chairman.
issue.
Mr. Chairman, please, there's
Have
no...
you
Mr. Chairman, this is intolerable harassment of the
What is
witness.
wrong with that? You need your medication.
The gentleman controls the time.
I ask that the witness be permitted to respond to
He
that
will be
despicable assertion.
He will be permitted
Did
to
you ever
respond. The
talk
gentleman
to
controls
Hillary
the time.
Clinton during your investigation, besides the one questioning you mentioned, before that or after that to this?
Sir, first, I assure
No
you,
question.
under oath, as I spoke also during my interview a week or two ago, I have always told the truth. The fact that you would accuse me otherwise, the fact that you would question whether or not that was the sort of look I would engage with in a family member who I have acknowledged hurting, goes more to a discussion about your character and what you stand for and what is going inside you.
It's
and the
to
integrity
your
of man.
credibility, and you
why-
lost your credibility.
Lisa Page appeared twice before members of Congress in closed-door testimony. Here's what some congressmen had to say about her.
Credible witness with indeed a very willingness to cooperate with all of the congressional investigations. So we've certainly learned additional things today, but I can tell you that the last thing anybody wants to be is falsely accused, and her willingness to cooperate today, it speaks well for her.
I found Lisa Page to be far more credible than Peter Strzok. I didn't agree with her characterization of every text message and every piece of evidence, but we did not see the smug attitude from Lisa Page that we saw from Peter Strzok.